What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is a little different this particular time because I am on a cruise. It is Thursday, October 24th. A beautiful cruise that I'm on. MSC Cruises just left Jamaica. Now we are on heading to the Ocean Bay or Ocean K, I should say, the Bahamas. This is day 6, so the cruise is just about ending. But yeah, hopping on here now on my podcast, man. About to bring on a very special guest. Her name is Alexa Minton. She is a reporter, meteorologist, based out of Kentucky. We're going to talk to her about her why and get to know her outside of her occupation. I am a freelance journalist. Once again, my name is Chris Drummond. And yeah, we're just going to have some fun today. So, without any further ado, I introduce you the wonderful, talented, and the beautiful Alexa Minton. Hello there. How you doing?
On. Okay, I can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry, my computer was lagging for a second. It's nice to meet you.
It is a pleasure to meet you too, Alexa. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm sorry about the Zoom. I finally got that situation controlled. And then the Wi-Fi in my room. I'm currently on a cruise right now as I'm talking to you.
Oh,
Uh,
no way. Where are you going cruising?
well, we went to this is day 6 of 7. So we already went to Mexico. We went to Cozumel. We went to Jamaica already, and we
Wow.
already went to the Cayman Islands. So as you can see in my background, this is actually I'm out on the deck right now doing this podcast. Got a room, and the boat is actually moving as we speak. But it's awesome. This has been an awesome time. My first cruise ever. So absolutely having a blast for
Oh,
sure.
that sounds so cool. You know what? What a fun way to be enjoying nice weather it looks like behind you. Man, I've never been on a cruise, but it's on the list of things I'd like to do sometime.
Absolutely. Put it on the bucket list for sure. I'm definitely going to try to go to one on 2025. So I'm definitely looking into that right now for sure. But definitely put it on your bucket list.
I
Um,
will.
I want to say thank you for coming on to my podcast. I really do appreciate it. And I want to just reiterate to you real quick why I wanted to have you on the podcast. I know you're, I believe, a meteorologist based out of Kentucky.
Yes, I
If I'm not
am.
mistaken. Yes, and I'm a reporter, freelance. I used to be a reporter for a publication, and I've been doing this for about 6 years. So I started in Atlanta, Georgia, where I graduated college at, and then I moved to Minnesota, where I was doing um, for the past year to last year publication full time in high schools, colleges, and did a couple of pros, but mainly high school and college as a sports reporter. And now I've been doing freelance for the past year and a half, where I get to pick up just different assignments and different things of that nature. And I always like talking to likewise people who are in the industry because everybody's story is different, for one, and then two, we're always talking about stories. Like you're always on there talking about weather or rain, snow, or wherever, what happens, or hot weather, but nobody gets to sit down and talk to you about how your story is, right? Because you're always talking about weather stories or weather and updating people about what's going on in the city and across the states. So I want to talk to you about your story.
Thank you very much. I don't know how interesting I'll be with my story, but I originally I saw your tweet and I was like, oh, I have to respond. But if you couldn't tell from my delay in response in email, I am always the most scatterbrained person. So I appreciate your
No,
patience with me with everything.
no doubt, no doubt. And Alexa, as I always do, I start my podcast off really simple, and that is, what is your why? What is your why of wanting to become a meteorologist? What is your why of wanting to be in the journalism business? Did you have any inspirations growing up? Did you have any role models that you wanted to kind of role model yourself after? But what is your why of joining the journalism business and being a meteorologist?
Yeah, it kind of wasn't originally where I thought I was going to end up. I was always a big fan of math in high school and middle school, and it was something I enjoyed. But my parents always said I had a very curious mind. I loved learning things, whether that be more about a specific topic. I've always enjoyed like learning more about certain things, and it kind of just overlapped into I was really interested in earth sciences. So I went to college with the full intent. I was looking for environmental sciences and I loved the weather. I would go outside and I used to like get hail and icicles. I grew up in Ohio and I used to bring it in and put it in the freezer and then I would like look at it and inspect it and I would sit down and
Wow.
plan out clouds and road trips and stuff. But when I went to college, I actually went for secondary education and meteorology, thinking I was going to be like an eighth grade earth science teacher. And I was about 2 years into the degree program and I was so in love with the meteorology department at my university and I was really loving it. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying my secondary education program, but teaching's a hard job. And I feel
Very.
like my mom taught as an ESL teacher and as a special ed teacher and substituted for a little bit before we moved. We moved from Indiana to Ohio. And uh, I just know I have so much respect for teachers, but I was feeling more drawn to the meteorological sense. And one of my favorite professors, someone that I still talk to regularly, I look up to her so much. She's one of the smartest women I know. She was like, "What if you tried some of the television station stuff at our university?" And I did, and I loved it. And she had recommended that me freshman year, and it just kind of like I was transitioning and it clicked. And I was like, maybe I want to kind of teach, but in a different way. I'm teaching the viewers about different weather patterns and I get to talk about and I'm not grading papers and I'm not disciplining students, but I'm sitting here communicating with the public and teaching in a different way. So that's kind of my why. I was always a big fan. I still am a very curious person. I love learning new things. It's my favorite thing to do. And science nerd turn and I'm a big talker and I'm a yapper. So it kind of just overlapped into getting me to here.
Well, obviously the camera loves you. I would say that right there. Obviously, beauty is just second to none, no question.
Thank
But
you.
the enthusiasm, you're very welcome. But the enthusiasm that you have about meteorology is always interesting to talk because I've had meteorologists on my podcast before, and just y'all are so enamored with like earth science and stuff like just the I might be saying this wrong, but the astronomy, like the stars and just
Yeah.
out there, just like Earth things and weather and just I'm like, man, it's incredible to have somebody that passionate about it because you think about weather and it's like, okay, it's gonna be sunny, it's gonna snow, it's gonna wherever you're at, but to be passionate enough about it to want to talk about it and make that into a career, I think is amazing. Um, and a lot of the meteorologists that I talked to on this platform went to Mississippi State, which is actually a really good school for. I mean, they have one of the best meteorology programs. But your school was Valparaiso. You went to Valparaiso University outside of Indiana,
Yes, I
and
did.
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I did go to Valpo.
Yeah, you went to Valpo, and I want to know were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to Valpo?
Actually, no. I have the most interesting college story, kind of. I'm a
Talk
middle
to me.
child. I was gonna say I'm a middle child. So I have an older sister and a younger sister, and my parents both met at university together. And so they met at Miami of Ohio. And so that was always on my list. And for me, I wasn't necessarily looking for meteorology. I was looking for earth sciences. So that could have kind of carried me to environmental sciences. It could have carried me really anywhere in that field. And I looked at a lot of schools in Ohio. I was like sold, locked in on staying in Ohio. I had a lot of friends in Ohio. I really loved Worcester. I had a phenomenal sustainability and environmental sciences program, which is something I'm really passionate about. And we visited Valparaiso on accident. My sister was originally going to school for journalism as well. She's a phenomenal writer. My older sister was. And being from Ohio, we had no clue what Lollapalooza was, of course. And so we're like, let's
Mm,
go visit Northwestern on this fine, normal weekend in the summer where we're sure nothing's happening. And we got
right.
stuck on the Chicago Outer Belt and we were not going to be able to get back to Ohio. And we called my dad and we're like, find us the closest Hampton Inn that's not fully booked out. We're going to have to stop. We're not going to make it back to Ohio. And it was my mom, my older sister, my younger sister, and myself. And the Hampton Inn happened to be in Valparaiso. And when we walked in, they were like, are you here to visit the university? And we were like, university, never heard of it. And my parents at that time
Wow.
were trying to encourage my sister, like, if we stopped by, if we saw university on the highway, if we were on a road trip, you stop and you look because we didn't really know much as she was the first one for us three that were going to go to college. And we went and we visited. She hated it and I loved it. And it became my dream school where I was like, it was always kind of, I was a freshman at that point. I was like, this is where I'm going, mom and dad. But it's a private school. So I knew it was going to be difficult. I was really lucky to get some scholarships about STEM education and women in STEM and things like that. So most of the other universities I had and I was considering, aside from Miami and Worcester, they were all kind of like backup plans. And it was just like, how can I get to go to Valpo? Because I was so enamored with the program. And I can't say enough wonderful things about Valparaiso University. It was truly the best experience. I feel like I learned so much and I love that place so much. It feels like a home to me.
I love that. I love to hear that. Wow. So you stumbled upon Valpo. It wasn't even a choice. It was just one of those, hey, we're stopping here. We're on a road trip, and you just stumbled upon that. That's a pretty dope story. I love that. I really do. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you some favorite. I'm gonna ask you some favorite questions.
Okay.
Okay, and based upon some of these favorite questions, you just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these. Okay, are you with me?
Yes, I am. I'm ready to go.
Okay, here we go. Let's rock. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Any sort of Mexican food. I worked in a Mexican restaurant for a good chunk of my life as a waitress, so anything that I can make, not necessarily that good. I love to make it.
Okay, well, we're going to be very good friends because I love Mexican food and I love Italian food, and I definitely can make both of those very well. So I'm with
There
you
you
on that.
go.
Okay, all right. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh gosh, I haven't been to a lot of concerts. I have a lot of favorite artists. Oh, I don't even know. I went to the Jonas Brothers with some of my coworkers last year when they were in Kentucky, and that was a lot of fun. It was like the first time a group of us girls had like gone and done something together, and we only got the tickets last second because we mentioned it on the newscast, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, there's still a few tickets available in the nosebleeds all the way at the top at Rupp Arena." So we went and we had the time of our lives. So I would probably say maybe that concert, and it was fun because my mom and sisters had gone, and I was unable to go because some exam stuff. So now I feel like everyone
Mhm.
in my family has seen the Jonas Brothers.
Absolutely. And for those of you that will watch this interview, Rupp Arena is where the Kentucky basketball team plays.
Yes,
UK
sir.
basketball, no doubt about it. Rupp Arena is one of the most famous arenas of in the entire states, no question about it. Rupp Arena is great. I've been there. I love that place. It's great.
It's all.
Um, favorite place you've ever traveled to? I want to ask
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm really fortunate. I've been on a lot of road trips. I went on church choir tours growing up. I really liked my family one time went up throughout the Northeast and we went to a little place called Woods Hole, Connecticut. And it's like the stop
you. Okay.
before you would go to Martha's Vineyard. And I adored it. They had a really amazing fish hatchery program there, which I thought was fun. And we got to go see the aquarium, but it was quiet, it was calm. And we stayed at a bed and breakfast. And I have a lot of fond memories there with my family. And there's some cool meteorology history there for Dr. Joanne Simpson. She got to go there when she was doing some of her research with some stuff for hot towers. So it was like, I didn't know at the time when I was there that it would be connected, but I don't know. I like that place. I'd love to go back sometime.
Absolutely. I think one of my favorite places is Cabo San Lucas. No question about it. I've been there. That was a friend's trip, but I'm gonna have to say Jamaica is a second close on this cruise.
Yeah.
No question about that. Jamaica was beautiful.
I can
No
imagine.
question.
I think a lot of times people love to find the beauty in the United States, but I got to be in Costa Rica for a little while. I was teaching math and science in Costa Rica, and that's like a second favorite place of mine. I wasn't anywhere tropical. I was in this inner city per se, but a lot of places in like Central America are so stunning and so beautiful. So I'd love to explore there more often, but we'll have to wait, I guess.
Absolutely. Listen, that's on the bucket list too, and I'm sure you're definitely gonna go to a place like that. No time at all. It's gonna be very soon. Two more of the favorites. I want to ask you. I'm a sports reporter, so you know I got to ask this question. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV, and favorite sport you like to go to in person.
Okay. I'm kind of torn by this one because I have a favorite sport that I played and I hold so much warmth in my heart about it, but then also I have a favorite sport to watch. I've got to say basketball, just because, Kentucky men's
Oh
basketball has
yeah.
been great. But I was born originally in Bloomington, Indiana. So I am a Hoosier fan in enemy territory right now, being in Kentucky. My dad is a huge IU fan. Very, very big IU fan. My mom kind of became it by a January. My mom's more OSU football, but we're all kind of overlapping. But no, so it's kind of weird being here. But now I'm a huge Kentucky fan because as soon as you live in the Lexington area, it's really
Sure.
hard. It's almost contagious. It was funny. Everyone joked for a long time because I was such a Hoosier fan, and everyone was like, "It's gonna change ya." And I am like all in on the Wildcats. They played one of their exhibition games last night. I was looking up the scores. I'm like, what's happened to me? I'm supposed to be for IU, but the other sport that I really like is I played field hockey in since fifth grade through my high school years. I loved it so much. My younger sister played with me. I went to field hockey recruitment camps. I had so much fun playing. I think it's a severely underrated sport. I love watching it on the Olympics. It's extremely exciting. So I love field hockey. I would say that's the underrated one, but also basketball for everyone.
Well, like I said, you already won my heart, Alexa. You good. When you said basketball is your favorite sport, you are locked in with me forever. I'm a huge historian of the game. So obviously, with your dad being an Indiana fan, I'm sure
Yeah.
he remembers the 81 and 87 years of when Indiana won the national championship
Oh,
in
he's like a
basketball.
big Bobby Knight fan, 100%.
Huge. And I was not born at those times, but YouTube does us wonders, no question about that. And it's good that you're Kentucky as well, because listen, you live in Lexington. I know Louisville. I don't know, how far is Louisville from you?
It's about an hour and a half. An hour technically is what I think the maps say, but when you factor in traffic, it's like an hour and a half.
Okay, so I know that's the big time, obviously, rival school within the state, Louisville, and obviously Kentucky doing that. So, yeah, I like that. And field hockey is very underrated. I tried to play it, but it was very hard for me to try to play field hockey. It was just hard. I couldn't hit it. I couldn't do anything as far as hockey wise. So, even I sucked at goalie too. I was like, oh my God, not my sport. And it's just
It was
terrible. So,
I loved playing it. I played either defense or defensive wing, and there was a period my sophomore year where I was swinging. So I would play some of the varsity games and some of the junior games. And there was a friend
mhm,
of mine, and we were both D wings, and we had the most fun. We would get so in trouble with our coaches because we were supposed to stay on our proper sides, and we would flip flop all the time. So I have a lot of
I feel
fond
that.
memories for field hockey, especially playing with my younger sister too. So.
I love that. I really do. Last of the favorites, favorite restaurant there in Kentucky that you like to eat at.
Oh gosh, I don't know. It's hard because there's so many wonderful places here. I have to
Hmm.
say, whenever anyone comes into town, I will usually take them to one of two places. I will either take them to Agave and Rye, which I know it's a chain because there's some in Ohio. But it's a really fun Mexican restaurant. It's kind of like quirky tacos, I guess. So I love that one. But also I'm a big fan of it's in like an old house building. It's called Big Kahuna, and it's a Hawaiian barbecue place, and it's so good. A lot of people that have been there have loved it. And they just did some really awesome fundraisers last year for the Maui wildfire. So that was the first reason I went because they were donating proceeds to Maui, and I'm now like obsessed with it. It's so good.
I love that. That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. On here with Alexa Minton, a meteorologist based out of Kentucky on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. We're going to transition, Alexa, back inside because my phone is about to die. So,
Okay.
but I'm going to put it on the charger. But the next question that I do have for you is about your day to day. I want to know your day to day process of being a meteorologist. Like I said, when we're journalists in this industry, no day is ever the same. Weather changes all the time. Sometimes it changes on the day that you think the weather is going to be one way, and it's another day. It's another thing, right? So, talk to me about your day to day. When does it start? When does it end? What kind of things you go through your day? And yeah, just let me know what it is.
Yeah, I actually have a really irregular schedule, so it kind of just depends on the week. I am a meteorologist, but I'm also a science MMJ for the station, and then I fill in for our meteorologists and our traffic. And so any given week, it kind of depends on who's off, what the schedule's been like. So it kind of is figuring things out. Like this past Tuesday, I did some of the morning shows, some of the evening shows. So it kind of depends. So I usually get to do some sort of weather broadcast every day, which is always my favorite part of the day. But then
Okay.
sometimes on sometimes I get a report as well. So it kind of depends. My schedule is different. If I'm doing a morning shift, which I that's the main shift that I cover for, our broadcasts start at 4:30. I like to be there like bare minimum an hour before. And so I will usually wake up around 2:30. I live really close to the station, so it works out timing wise. And also, there's never any traffic because it's super early in the morning, so it works out fine. And then I kind of forecast from there. I like to look at a lot of different computer models. I read an area forecast discussion that a local National Weather Service office puts out. I kind of write down some different numbers about temperatures. That's the first graphic I always update. And then I try to write my
Okay.
web story and I record some radio. I do an app cast. And then usually our shows start and I'm kind of editing those graphics live in action because our morning show setup is a little unique. We do 4:30 and then we go straight through till 7 a.m. on our main channel, CBS, and then we switch and we do 2 hours on the CW. And then at 9, we film a talk show called Everyday
Right.
Kentucky. And when I'm filling in, sometimes I fill in for that as well. So I'll keep going for that. And then we do a 10 a.m. mid-morning show and I'll do the weather for that. And then at 11 we do a Facebook Live, and then we switch in 12 we do the noon. So when I'm filling in for the morning show, there's really no break. Starting at 4:30, I'm like mic'd up talking to someone for like all but 15 minutes. And it's really fun. It's very fast paced. I enjoy it a lot. I really like that there's a lot of weather hits in our morning shows. It's different. Our morning shows do weather in every single block, but it's shorter hit times. And then in the evening, it's not weather in every single block, but the hit times are longer. So it's kind of a different structure, and that's
Mhm.
based on like years
Right.
of testing and things like that. So that's when I fill in for the morning show. But most days I do our CW, and then I report after. So I'll go to a news meeting, and I then kind of figure out a science-based story for the day, and I go from there. Like I talked about fall allergies yesterday, and I have an allergist that I know, so I went and I interviewed him, and then I know a couple good fall foliage spots, and I run with my camera and film a stand up over there, and then I go back and I write, produce, and or not produce, I write and I edit and my own thing, and I talk with some of the producers. And I send it to show and then I'm good to go. So it really kind of depends on what the day is, what my schedule looks like on a daily basis. Sometimes I do evenings, which is entirely different too. And I have to drink an extra bit of caffeine because I'm not used to staying up that late. But then, and I'll also fill in for traffic. So I guess it's kind of all over the place, but I really love my job and it's a lot of fun.
No, listen, and that's one of the reasons why I love asking that question because anytime that you do, sometimes meteorologists wear many different hats. Sometimes you work irregular hours, like you said you get up at 2:30 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. That's damn early. I'm not gonna lie to you on that one. But when you're doing sports and in the sports department, working there in that station, we are nights and weekends. So we don't particularly get up that early in the morning. We probably come in the afternoon or late afternoon, and we work late until the night because that's what sports happen. So it's always interesting to hear about what different reporters do with their assigned times that they have to come in. Now you wear a lot of different hats, and that brings me to a great point and segue of work life balance and also mental health, which is the next question I want to ask you about because, you know, a lot of my colleagues, I don't know about you, Alexa, but a lot of my colleagues definitely have stepped away from this industry because of work-life balance and mental health. It's just been affected, and they didn't want it to get affected anymore. Talk to me about how do you balance your work life? Because, like I said, you seem like a very dedicated person to your job, but you also seem like a wonderful woman to be around. I certainly wouldn't mind being around you in a kind of atmosphere where you're just hanging with friends and having a good time. And I know you have family too, like you said. How do you balance that work life balance, but also still maintain good mental health so you don't get burnt out or overworked or underpaid?
I don't know if I do it very well. I some weeks I'm like straight through and I only get one day off, and I'm actually taking some time off this weekend, And it was funny, I was talking with our assignment desk editor, and I was like, hey, remember, you're not going to get any stories from me on Saturday or Sunday. I'm just doing the weather Saturday and I'm leaving. And he
Right.
was like, "Oh yeah, of course." And I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm feeling guilty about saying like, "Hey, I'm taking," but it's time that I've earned. And I think that's probably
Sure.
what a lot of young people feel in the industry. You want to prove yourself, you want to show that you can do it, you can handle it. And I think I the reason why I feel okay is because I have a truly remarkable support system. I really have an awesome support system. The students that I graduated with from Valparaiso University, there is 19 of us. We are in a group chat still. We talk every day. We are scattered amongst the career fields. We were not really a big broadcast school. There's a lot of broadcast meteorologists from Valpo, but some of us are in NWS, some of us are in the private sector. We've got a couple in broadcast themselves, and they really are truly a great support system to talk to. There's two people that outside of my family, because I also feel very lucky that I have my mom, my two sisters. My mom is like never misses a single thing that I do for WKYT. She's always watching everything. She's remarkably supportive. I'm a big fan of constructive criticism. I think a lot of times, sometimes we just give criticism versus giving it in a constructive sense. My mom does a wonderful
Sure.
job of helping me grow and also pushing me to be my best self. And my younger sister and my older sister always are keeping me on track. They honestly kind of help my mental health just talking with them all the time. But then I have two people, a good friend of mine from the station. Her name's Lucy. She would be a great person to talk to about work-life balance. We talk a lot about it. And I think having someone who's not in my department at the station, but also understands and physically sees everything that I might go through stress-wise in a day. She's our morning live reporter, and she does an incredible
Mm.
job. And uh,
Okay.
she really has become someone that I've leaned on a lot. She's originally from Kentucky, and we spend at least an hour every day talking, going through things. Just even if it's like a minor stress at work, I never feel like that's too major. And then on that same side of someone who understands what I'm going through, my boyfriend's a meteorologist in South Bend, Indiana, and we graduated together from Valpo, and we both have huge dreams of, going far in this industry. And he's in the exact same boat I am. I mean, he's working for a news station as a meteorologist. He's great. His name's Emmett Toomey. Uh, he's awesome at we both understand the stresses of like this, but also at the same time, we're both extremely big weather nerds. So we talk about it all the time, and he always matches my
Sure.
energy and excitement about it. So those two, my family, they've kind of like really given me a nice support system. I think it's about finding those people that know what you're going through, as like this is a high demanding job. You are on call really all the time because you don't know, something could happen news wise that changes up everything for everyone. I mean, a lot of times I've always got to keep my eye. I can't plan
Absolutely.
things too far in advance in case there is a severe weather concern for that week. So I think they both understand that. And getting to talk with my fellow meteorology graduates from Valparaiso University is always fun because we're scattered across the country, and we'll just send like pictures to each other all the time. So I think support system helps a lot. And I'm not saying my mental health is 1000% perfect. I don't think anyone is once you're transitioning from college to adult life. There's a little bit of a struggle sometimes, but having people there that you can listen, you can talk to, and it's not just you're dumping on them, it's a feedback, it's a conversation versus a dump, I think that helps a lot.
Absolutely. No question about it. It's a great answer. And it's a reason why I asked that question is because, you do have um, people in the industry that sometimes don't understand what we go through as journalists, especially people that want to get into this industry. There's an A side and there's a B side. The A side is doing all the wonderful things that journalism comes with, right? Doing the weather, writing stories, writing on the web, connecting with different journalists all over the globe, and also keeping group chats and different things of that nature. But there's a B side too, and the B side is a lot of times you're going to miss some events. You're going to miss some weddings. You're going to miss some celebrations. You're going to miss some holidays, especially when you're first starting out. And you have to give and take in this industry. And it's just something that people need to be aware of, right? Because they see you on the TV and they see beautiful Alexa breaking down, oh, it's raining here, it's going to be here, or it's going to be a thunderstorm, or it's going to be something, right? That you've researched and done it. But they don't know the behind the scenes. Like, people don't know that you got to get up at 2:30 in the morning. They don't know that, you got to get to the station at 4 something. I don't know if you have a makeup team or not, uh, or not like that. But
You do
people
not. I
don't
gotta do
know
my
this.
own hair. Sometimes it looks pretty bad when I wake up early in the morning.
You see what I'm saying? So, yes, you do a great job of what you do, but it's also imperative that people know all the aspects. And do you want to be able to take that on? And if you do, it's a wonderful thing. If you don't, that's a wonderful thing too. But at least you know. You don't come in with a false sense of reality of, oh man, this is the glamorous thing. Like, that's the wrong reason to get into this business for glamorous.
And
You
there
should
was a
want to
couple
get into.
people that like talked with me before we went into this industry. There was a an awesome Valpo graduate. Her name is Ellen Baca. I've got a lot of friends from Valpo, if you can't tell, that are in the industry, broadcast industry. But
Sure,
Ellen
sure.
kind of walked us through mental health concerns when you're going into the news field because it is.
Mhm.
It's very time demanding. You do miss events um, pretty often. I mean, I worked Christmas Day, and my family came here last year, and we did a Kentucky Christmas. And my mom helped make a ham and cheesy potatoes in a hotel room, and I was like, "Good for you, mom. It worked out fine." So, and I think it's more about like if you don't have that support system. Ellen was really great, and uh, she's a chief in Grand Rapids, Michigan now. Really
Mhm.
accomplished woman, and she talked with all of us a lot about like how to balance, like you said, it's the balance for both. And I think first year, it's one of those things where you're like, I've got to prove that I'm the best, but you can
Yeah.
still prove that you're the best without sacrificing things like your mental health.
Absolutely. You're in improvement mode all the time when you first start out because you want to make sure that they know that they made the right decision. But as you go along, your life changes, things change, we all change, right? Our focus is not like it's less on journalism, but we also have some outside stuff that we want to incorporate in our lives too, as we get older, and people as well. So it's a great question to ask, but it's another great segue of a question that I have, and that is advice. What is some advice that you would give someone that wants to start in this journalism business, maybe a recent graduate or somebody that just is kind of on the fence about being in this journalism industry? What kind of advice would you give?
When I first started off, I was told a lot that don't say yes to everything because then you'll burn out. And I don't really think that is the source of burnout for a lot of journalists. I think it's when you say yes. I think you absolutely should say yes to everything. It's an exciting time in your life, but say yes, but understand, like, have a very strict boundary line. Make sure like
Right.
yes with
Right.
respect. You know what I mean? I would
Yeah.
say like take advantage
Absolutely.
of everything. It's a really incredible time. I wouldn't be where I am today if I wasn't constantly pushing myself. I wouldn't be going from filling in for mornings. I wouldn't be filling in for the evenings. I wouldn't be I've done some really incredible stories. I've got to interview our governor about high ground developments in Eastern Kentucky. All these things weren't necessarily in line with my regular day-to-day schedule, but I think saying yes is something, but you've got to make sure that you're still being respectful of your own peace. I think that's something that you got to keep your eye on and you've got to be aware of when you're doing things like this because sometimes you want to say yes really, really bad, but you also are like,
Mhm.
I shouldn't say yes. I shouldn't say yes to, I would love to cover for this double and practice more and grow more. I actually have to sleep. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather. You know what I mean? Things like that. And so it's kind of one of those things where you've got to, when the weather is crazy and chaotic, always dive in, always show up, always be there. Even if they don't end up putting you on air, they're going to have you do something. You get a witness and do something in some capacity. So I feel like saying yes with respect to yourself is something that I would definitely advise people to do.
Wonderful answer. And like you said, boundaries is important. That saying yes part, it's so 50-50 with that, that I hear, at least from what my guests say. I would say the same thing though. I mean, because there's times where like you said, you really want to say yes to everything because you never want to miss out on the opportunity. But then, as I said, as you get older, maybe you get a little more seasoned in the business, you also have to take it with a grain of salt that sometimes people bypass others just to come to you to ask you to do something. And then
Yeah.
it's like, you know what? All right, maybe not this time.
And I
Maybe next time.
I was gonna say, I think it really kind of depends. You have to look at like the big picture. I love
Sure.
saying yes a lot of times, but I also have to sit and consider like what am I saying yes to before I commit
Mm-hmm.
and say yes. So this past Tuesday, I didn't really have much going on. I didn't like have anything happening, but they asked if I could help by filling in. Our other meteorologist had some school visits. They were like, "Well, you do like the 8, the 10, and the 12, but then come back and do the 6:30, the 10, and the 11." And that's a weird shift. And it is, I'm realizing that I'm sacrificing maybe a little bit of sleep, maybe a little bit of my day by doing that. But at the same
Right.
time, I was fine. I didn't have any plans. I'm feeling okay health-wise. I enjoy when I get to fill in for the evenings because I get to interact with some anchors and I get a different experience. I also enjoy when I get to fill in for our primetime shows because it's more exposure for me to our viewers. So
Absolutely.
I would say yes to something like that. Whereas, let's say I get a call and I'm in the car driving home and they're like, could you maybe do this in a couple days? I'm going to be like, no, I'm actually out of town. I'm going to prioritize my family. This is the one moment I'm not here. I'm not on call. I'm prioritizing my family first. Um, if it was a sunshiny day, I would fully understand. But like when there's weather crazy stuff, then I would say yes. So I think it's kind of like weighing your options, looking at big picture. But I do feel like a lot of times people say always saying yes is what causes the burnout. In my
Sure.
experience so far, I think what causes the burnout is when you don't receive it's the jarring transition to go from an environment like college where everyone is a team player. And
Yep.
a lot of times in the news industry, you're a team 100%, but you have to be looking out for yourself. And I don't think that's just a news industry thing. I think it's my sister, my older
No.
sister's in a corporate job and she has to make sure she's okay before she can. It's putting the air mask on yourself before anyone else. And that was not something I ever did in college. So it's that transition that I feel like causes a lot of burnout for people. It's the, oh, I can't be so worried about everyone all the time. I need to make sure I'm okay. As long as I'm good, I'm going to say yes. I'm fine. I'll do it. Sounds great. But if I'm not okay, I
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to stop. So I don't know. It's one of those things where I remember people saying like, don't say yes all the time. You'll get tired. I love my job, and I think a lot of people in our industry love our job. So I want to do as much of it as I possibly can without hurting myself more.
Absolutely. And lastly, before I get to the next question, you learn that you have to take care of yourself, no question about it, because this is definitely an industry where you definitely have to think about self first before you can think about anybody else. But you also have to keep in mind that there's sometimes that everybody ain't for you. That's the one thing I had to learn in this industry. You have a lot of friends and people that really do care about you, that's genuine, but you do run into some people that are just not for you for whatever reason. And sometimes that could be department heads, people that's in a hierarchy position, that's not for you. I've definitely had those guests on this platform talk about that. So you do have to be conscious of that, and you have to make decisive decisions on whether or not is this station is worth my time to be here. Do I need to go somewhere so my mental health can be right? But I love the answers that you gave, Alexa. This is pretty good. It's pretty cool. I love that. Um, we've made it to the portion of the podcast now that we're going to do some this or that. So
Okay.
basically, I do is I throw some things at you and you get to choose either this or that. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
All right, here we go. So the first one is going, we've been vibing all podcast long now. The first one is important. Here we go. Which place are you going to? Popeyes or KFC?
Okay, this is really difficult for me because I do like Popeyes. However, I went to for the first time the original Kentucky Fried Chicken in Corbin, Kentucky, and let me tell you, that food was phenomenal. So, I don't know, it depends. I've had more KFC in my life, but I do like Popeyes. They got a good chicken sandwich, so I'll say Popeyes.
Okay. Well, listen, I'll say that we can remain friends. That's what I would say.
I'm sorry, my
So,
Kentucky family. It's still good. KFC is still good, and especially that
yeah,
one in
yeah.
Corbin. It's great, but I'll go Popeyes.
And listen, the KFC mac and cheese is something different. I love the Kentucky Fried Chicken mac and cheese, but ain't nothing like a chicken tender from Popeyes. Ain't nothing like that thing. That thing is so good. Um, Next question: chicken wing flavors. Barbecue or lemon pepper?
I like barbecue, but I would have to say I don't usually get either of them. I go buffalo. I like my food a little bit spicy. It's got to have a kick to it. So I'll say barbecue
Okay.
then, because you could get some spicy barbecue.
Okay, I like that. I do like buffalo as my third sauce.
Okay.
Barbecue and lemon pepper is one and two, but buffalo is definitely three. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
Wet.
Oh,
I need
okay,
a
I like that.
napkin. If I'm gonna go, I'm gonna need a napkin.
Okay, now that definitely puts a smile on my face. Do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
This is gonna be controversial. I am a boneless person, but I understand the appeal of bone in. I will never say no to a bone in wing. I just personally, if I have to pick, boneless.
Okay, so you like to get messy, but you like to be proper, is what you're saying.
Exactly. I will sometimes use a fork. I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but some
Okay, okay. Listen, no judgments here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast because at the end of the day, a chicken wing, boneless or bone in, is gonna get tore the hell up by me. That's all I
exactly.
got to say. I know that's right. I know it. Okay, here we go. These next four have to do with music concerts you rather attend. So the first one is, which music concert would you rather go to? Luke Combs or Morgan Wallen?
Luke Combs. I feel like I know more of his songs, but I'm not a big country artist fan, so I'm kind of a little off with that one. But I'll
Okay.
say Luke Combs.
Okay. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Oh, Kendrick Lamar, no doubt in my mind. I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan, so 100% I would
Mm,
love to see him in person.
okay, I'm with you on that, girl. I'm with you on that. Now, which concert would you rather go to? J. Cole or Big Sean?
That's such a hard question, though. Oh gosh, I don't know. My younger sister would probably be mad if I didn't say J. Cole, but I'm gonna say Big Sean. I feel like I would like I know some of his songs more, so I'm gonna say Big Sean.
Okay, shout out Big Sean. He doing his thing. And listen, I love both artists. That's very hard to choose from. Which one would you rather see in concert, Lil Wayne or Eminem?
Oh, I don't know because oh gosh, maybe Eminem just because I feel like I would love to see him talk just that fast in person, because I always hear it sometimes, but I would love to see him be that like quick in person. So maybe Eminem.
I'm definitely a rap head, so I definitely got to go M, but Lil Wayne is not very far behind. I'll
I
tell
was
you
gonna say
that
he's
for
still good.
sure.
I would still go see them both.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Would you rather watch basketball or football?
It depends on who's playing, honestly. That's what I would have to say because if it's not someone that I'm interested in, I probably won't be watching. Now, I love watching basketball. I love watching basketball, but being from Ohio, I have to watch any Ohio State game and love watching Notre Dame. And my sister's at Clemson, so I've got to keep my eye on Clemson. You know what I mean? So it kind of depends. It's more about teams for me than the sports themselves.
Well, shout out Alexa's sister, no doubt, for going with the Tigers. That's always good.
Of course.
And Ohio State, they had a hell of a game a couple weeks ago with those Oregon Ducks. That was quite the game between
Mhm.
those two. No doubt. With Ohio State winning by no, Oregon, sorry, winning by 1 point. That was
I was gonna say
crazy.
we lost.
That was crazy though. Just the ending of that game. That was just so wild. Next up would be, do you like desserts?
No, I am a savory, salty person. If I'm gonna do desserts, I will have to be like actively craving something specific, but I'm usually not a sweet person.
Okay, so you like potato chips then?
Oh, absolutely. I think anyone in my family, if you set down a bag of Lay's wavy potato chips and French onion dip, it'll be gone one sitting for anyone in my family, I'm sure.
Got you. Okay, so fun fact before I ask this question. Fun fact with me, I've never had French onion dip.
You gotta try it. I swear. And you gotta make sure you get the wavy.
Mm,
Like we only do it on holidays. Actually, we really only do it on Christmas and New Year's, but you gotta get the wavy Lays with it. That's what works.
right. Okay, so French onion dip. I gotta add that to the list because people told me I gotta try eggnog. Never had that.
I don't think it's worth
Got,
it.
okay,
I'm
you
not
don't
a
think
big
it's worth it?
eggnog
Okay,
fan.
okay, and
You can
then
do it for the
coffee.
vibe.
Never
Say
never
you
had
did
that.
it.
Okay, what about coffee?
Oh, I am a big coffee nut. I drink coffee every single morning. I gotta have a double shot of espresso every morning too, so I'm a big coffee fan.
What about ketchup?
I don't mind ketchup. It depends. Like if I have sweet potatoes in some capacity, I would use ketchup,
Mhm.
but not all the time. It depends. I'm not like a big
Yeah,
ketchup fan.
I've never had ketchup, so
You should try it
um,
though.
okay, I'll keep that in mind. Now, the chips, I'm gonna name four brands of
Okay,
chips. You have to choose one of these brands you'll never eat again. Are you with me?
I'm ready. I'm never gonna eat
All right, here we
again.
go. That you'll never eat again. One of these brands. All right, here we go. First one is Doritos. The second one is Pringles. The third one is Ruffles. The last one is Lay's. Which one are you not eating ever again?
I might say, oh gosh, I might have to say Lay's because I if I'm gonna eat a potato chip, I want it to be wavy, and that's what Ruffles also does. So I'll say Lay's, but they're still really good. I'm a big potato chip lover. Shouldn't be, but I am. So
I didn't think there was any other answer outside of Lay's because the other three is the greatest chip ever made was sour cream and cheddar Ruffles.
okay,
That's the greatest chip ever made.
is that
The second worst chip ever made was Lay's um salt and vinegar. That is
oh,
just the second worst chip ever made.
I don't mind a salt and vinegar chip. It's a grown taste on me, but yeah, no, I understand. A lot of people don't like him. I didn't like him at first, but it's grown on me.
Yes, and Funyuns is the first. It's the worst chip ever made.
Oh, I
Funyuns.
agree. 100%. I'm not an onion fan. Ironically, I love French onion dip, but for the longest time, even when I would work at a Mexican restaurant, I would ask for like no onions, which is not an easy thing to do. I've never been an onion fan.
I got you. Okay. But they said that you had to cheer only for one school for the rest of your life. Which school are you taking? Are you taking Indiana or Kentucky?
Oh, I can't believe you're doing this to me on this.
Hmm.
You know, I would be heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken, but I would have to say Indiana, just because, I was born there and I mean, we all wore little Hoosiers cheerleading costumes. Like, I feel like, and if you ever have been in an assembly hall, it's
I have.
very different from Rupp. It's old and it just feels the movie Hoosiers. I know that's not about IU basketball, but like, I just feel like I would have to say Indiana. However, I am still, like I said, big Kentucky fan until they don't really play Indiana anymore. Indiana hasn't been good these past couple years, but I like cheering on Kentucky basketball. So I would say Indiana, I guess.
Okay. The Assembly Hall, the time that I went, I think they were playing Illinois. It was a few years back, and that place was rocking, literally rocking, like it moves. Everybody is hopping
Incredible
up and
place.
down. It's definitely an older place. I had a friend of mine's dad had season tickets for Illinois basketball. I don't know why. Don't it's me. I just love basketball, and I went and we had a good time. So I love that. I want to ask you this last question here, of the this or that.
Okay.
Which sport would you rather play, badminton or bowling?
I would say bowling, but I feel like I got to give a nod to badminton because my last name's Minton and it's close to badminton. So, I used to get a lot of jokes about that sometimes, but I would say bowling. I did a lot of Wii bowling
Can
with
you
my
bowl?
siblings. Oh, not
Can
well,
you?
but
Oh,
I've done it a
okay.
little bit more frequently than badminton.
Okay. Do you need the bumpers? That's all I want to know.
No, but I can't guarantee I'm not going to go in the gutter if I don't have the bumpers. I'm all right. I'm not bad. I will get a strike occasionally. Usually the best I can do is a spare. So,
Okay. Okay. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. Talking again with Alexa Minton, meteorologist based out of Kentucky on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. Did pretty good on this or that. I want to transition to this next question, though, and that is if you didn't pick the career of journalism, what career path would you have chosen and why?
this is a really weird one, but I would love to work at a science museum. It still kind of gives me the same type of excitement. I'm a big fan of, I guess, learning new things. I know I've said that a couple times, but Museums have always been something that really enjoyed me, or I've really enjoyed a lot. Um, I love visiting museums in any town I go into. My mom is an executive director at a museum right now. I worked in an art museum in college. Best memories working in that art museum. So I feel a real strong connection to, I guess, museums in general. I think everyone should go to a museum at least once a year, probably more frequently. Um, and I love science, and I think science museums are some of the best places to go because you learn new things and you get a place to be curious, and that's my favorite thing to do. So maybe work at a science museum in some capacity. That's probably what I would want to do.
I can totally see you doing that. I will come up to you and probably ask you one of the weirdest damn questions in the world because I am not a huge science person, but I would love to inquire and learn about it because I'm just not huge into it because I don't know much about it. So, because I'm so sports and music and entertainment, I would do theater. That would be mine.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't a journalist, I would definitely do theater for sure.
Theater is incredible too. I mean, I did theater in high school and I'm obviously like a theater kid also at heart, but I feel like sometimes you need an environment where you can ask questions all the time and you can feel comfortable to ask questions because that's my favorite thing. Favorite part of my job is I constantly learn something new literally every day. And I think museums are, I know sometimes it's like, oh, don't touch this, don't touch that. But I think if you spend some quality time in a museum and you truly get to explore and learn, um, there's so much we don't know, like about other things that there are museums about. So I love going to museums. So I'd love to work at one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Got three more questions for you before I get you up out of here. This next one here is about advice. We talked about advice you would give someone joining the industry, but what is some advice someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Can I give you two?
You
Probably.
sure can.
Okay, the first one's probably from my Mima and my mom. I look up to them a lot. And it's kind of same to the second one, but my Mima and my mom are both incredibly empowered women.
Hmm.
And I admire the strength that they show every day. And it's something that I feel like I would constantly strive for to be strong, but with grace. And that's something that they both do so well. And I think that's something that my mom has done a really good job at helping me learn and figure out because I tend to be a pushover. I tend to be a people pleaser sometimes. And I want to make sure other people are okay. And being a woman in a male dominated industry for meteorologists are a lot of men in our industry. It is important about me being strong but with grace and not losing myself, but still standing up for myself at the same time, being able to do things like that.
Absolutely.
So that would be the first one. And then the second one also has to do about women in STEM, and it has to do about like realizing that you belong here. You've earned it. You've deserved it. And I got that advice from my I know I mentioned her earlier, Professor Teresa Balzell-Schultz, Dr. Teresa Balzell-Schultz, one of the most smart women I would say in our field in meteorology. She's remarkably intelligent. She's at Valparaiso University, and a lot of times I would feel like almost imposter syndrome. Meteorology is a really difficult field. You have a lot of math, you have a lot of physics, you have a lot of calculus, uh, a lot that I thought I would do well at because I liked it.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily the easiest, and you spend a lot of late nights, and it's very heavy stuff. And in high school and middle school, I was like a B student, and I had to learn like, hey, girl, this is where you really got to kick it in and figure it out. And a lot of times, there wasn't a lot of women in my degree program, and there's not a lot of women meteorologists out there. And it was kind of nice to have someone, a female that I looked up to in the industry that would sit there and be like, "You're a good girl. You belong here." And I got a really bad grade on a dynamics exam one time. I was in dynamics one. It was her class. I was devastated. I was like, I have to drop meteorology. I can't do this. It's not for me. Clearly I can't. And it was just like a crisis. I'm like, I don't belong here. I'm not smart enough. And she was like, you absolutely do. You had an exam where you didn't understand. She was like, it's about how you handle that and how you grow. You belong here. And it's the people who continue that show their worth and their intellect every single day. So I shouldn't let anyone else tell me what my intellect is. I know that. I know my worth and I know why I belong here. So confidence and strength with grace and not being intimidated by others' intellect and knowing your own intellect, I would say. Those are the best pieces of advice I've gotten. And I'm not saying I'm good at either of those, but there's something I think about pretty often. So
I would say that you're very, very good. I would. Yeah,
thank
yes,
you.
absolutely. No question, no question. And that's really good advice. I mean, sometimes we get in our own heads and we form these thoughts about ourselves, and we need some reassurance from outside people, not necessarily like just our family and loved ones. 'Cause our family and loved ones are going to always tell us stuff that, we would like to hear. But sometimes you got to get some friends that's going to keep it a buck. It's going to keep it real with you regardless, telling you that you effed up or telling you stop thinking and stop overthinking too damn much, right? Just
Yeah.
be the Alexa that you have always been, and don't sweat the small things. And I totally understand that because I have people in my corner like that too, for sure. I love asking meteorologists this next question. That is, what would you like to cover? And that means, would you like to cover a snowstorm? Would you like to cover a tropical rainforest? Would you like to cover a hurricane? Or would you like to be in the midst of a Toronto? Because sometimes meteorologists is out there and they got the jackets on and the wind is blowing. What is something that you would like to do of those four?
Well, I did something that I never thought I would do in Kentucky actually a couple weeks ago when Hurricane Helene made it so far inland. We felt the effects in Lexington, and I got to stand outside when it was tropical storm headed towards tropical depression. And I stood outside and it was a little bit of a surreal experience. I would love to do more with these are two entirely different fields, I guess, but hurricanes, but also at the same time lake effect. Those are two things that I find remarkably interesting. Um, Teresa taught a remarkable tropical meteorology class, so I'm always keeping my eye on the tropics during tropical storm season. Something that I've found remarkably interesting about how it affects entire industries and economies. Like there is an IV fluid shortage because of where Hurricane Helene hit. And I think it's really interesting to talk about. We lose oftentimes we talk about it in the moment when it hits. We see the damage and destruction with our eyes, but then we don't talk about the rebuilding after. We saw that a lot with Eastern Kentucky after they had those awful floods in 2022. They're still rebuilding. They're still figuring things out, and it's 2 years later, over 2 years later. So
Oh,
hurricanes are something that I'm interested in, but also lake effect is so unique. It's so specific, and I've been a nut for the Great Lakes since going to Valpo because we were so close to Lake Michigan. It's really interesting to see how such a large body of water can dictate the weather in that area and how it's really dependent on your wind direction on whether you're going to get how much snow you're going to get in that area. So I think those two, they kind of give me the same, I guess, energy where it's very intense and you've got to keep your eye on it because we saw with Milton recently, it was a category 5, it was breaking records, extreme like intensification, and it decreased very quickly. It de-intensified very quickly. So I like to see some of those and then keeping up with weather events. I guess also the aftermath is something I'm interested on. So I don't know if that technically answers your question, but I would say like lake effect, tropical. Those are two things which are literally in opposite sides of the US. So
absolutely. And I noticed you did not say snowstorm. You do not want no parts of the snow, which is totally fine.
well, for lake
Totally.
effect, we do get a lot of snow. So I would do lake effect snow, but for some of those nor'easters that go up throughout East Coast, I'd love them, but I need to be like a little bit more mentally prepared for them, I guess.
Totally understand. Okay. We're coming to the very end. Now we got rapid fire. Okay, rapid fire. First thing that comes to your mind, you let me know what it is, and we're gonna go from here. Okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Burgers or tacos?
Tacos.
Pancakes or waffles?
Neither. I'm sorry, I told you I'm not a big sweets person, and that includes breakfast. So I'm not a pancakes, waffles, or a donuts person in the morning.
French toast?
No, it's all a little too sweet for me, but I guess maybe like waffles. Waffles, I would say waffles, but usually none of them.
Okay. Well, listen, you might be an omelet person, and maybe some
Yeah.
meat on the side and some hash browns. That's good too. No doubt, no doubt.
Okay.
Okay. Next one here. Pork chops or ribs?
Ribs,
Mashed potatoes or macaroni and cheese?
macaroni and cheese.
Okay. If you had three songs to listen to on repeat and never get tired of, what would those three songs be?
Um, I would say Karma by AJR. I'm a big fan of that song. I would say
Okay. Good song.
Forever by Noah Khan. That's a little more recent. Um, gosh, Piano Man, Billy Joel.
Wow, that's different from the first two.
I know, well,
But
two favorite artists, but I do like sometimes you're in the mood when you're driving through hills and stuff in rural areas like you are here in Kentucky. I'm like, I cannot be listening to HRR right now. I need to be listening to some 80s songs as I'm driving through here. They match my vibe a little bit better.
listen, sweetheart, I definitely know what you're talking about. And I don't know a person on the planet that doesn't like Billy Joel Piano Man.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I'm a huge Billy Joel fan. No question
Okay.
about that.
Me too.
Okay, I'm with you on that. If you had three people to take on a vacation, and where three people would you take, and where would you go?
Are we talking about people that I know or are we talking about like anyone?
Anyone, anyone. It could be celebrity, it could be people you know, anyone.
Gosh, I would probably take my two sisters and my mom because we love going on trips together. And I
Where
would
would you
probably
go?
go to Greece and relive our Mamma Mia dreams. The four of us out there. I think we would have a lot of fun.
Okay, I like that. Favorite color?
Oh, yellow. That's part of the reason why we said it was a sign for me to go to Valpo because our colors are brown and gold, and I have
That
yellow
is.
everything. I'm a big yellow fan. I think it is objectively, not even subjectively, objectively the best color out there.
Okay. Well, my alma mater is black and gold, which is
Okay,
Kennesaw State University in Georgia. So yes, absolutely. No question. We both got gold. I love it. Favorite alcoholic drink?
that's tough because I don't drink that much, but I can say I make a mean margarita because we used to make them from scratch. We would make our own fruit purees, we would squeeze our own limes, make our own
Hmm,
simple syrup. So I would say a margarita probably.
okay, I like that. Favorite card game?
31, we play it at every family holiday with my family, and it's always a blast.
30, 31. What is
Yeah.
that? I've never heard of that.
You get three cards, and you're trying to
Okay.
make your three cards add up to 31. Aces are 11. And they got to be the same suit. And you just kind of go around the circle, and everyone waits until someone knocks on the table, and then everyone has to show their cards. And the lowest card has to fold dollar bill, and then you get four folds, and then you get one last like poverty pot round, and then you're out. So we play it at every family gathering. It's a lot of fun.
I love that. That sounds fun. I like that. Two more. We got favorite board game.
Oh gosh, I don't know. We really only play 31 with my family. So, um, I would say
I can
maybe,
sub- I can substitute it. Give me a favorite sandwich.
ooh, okay. This is gonna sound weird, but there's a sandwich in my small town where I live right now. It's so good.
Mhm.
And it's cream cheese with hot pepper jelly, cucumbers, turkey, and bean sprouts. And I know that sounds weird, but I promise, don't knock until you try it. It is so good.
Okay, Alexa. Listen, hey, I said early on, no damn judgment here on the Work Hard Play Hard podcast, but it was hard not to make too many faces on that one. That's for
I
sure.
promise.
No question. Okay. Favorite TV show. Last one.
Oh, that's so tough. Um, I love Psych. I know it's kind of an older show, but it's one of my favorites of all time.
Hmm.
I watch it when I'm like getting ready to go to bed. It's kind of a comfort show for me, and my family watched it when it was still coming out. Have you seen Psych before?
I do know what that is. That's more of my dad's show. I'm more of Monk. I was more
Oh,
Monk.
we still loved Monk. My family's big murder mystery fans. So I liked the Monk, I liked the Castle. All of the Bones was another good one, but Psych I think was probably the one
Bones was
that
good.
I loved the most.
Okay, I like you. I like that. Now, this last question, bonus question I have here is because we've had such a great conversation, learn about you, learn about what you like to do, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and pretty much your why, of why you do what you do, which you do such an amazing job of, which I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate. What or if anything, is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
Well, I do feel like I have to tell you about how I started off because I got to do sports for a little bit before I eventually got to meteorology. And let me tell you, Chris, I did a bad job. I when I was still in college, I wanted an internship. And I emailed and I applied for a station in southeastern Ohio, and I'm sure a lot of people in the industry will know exactly where I'm talking about. It's WHIZ in Zanesville, Ohio.
Okay.
And I applied while I was still in college, and they were nice enough. They let me work there, and they were like, "We need a reporter." So the deal was at the time when I signed on that I was going to report, and then I could practice on the green screen, and I could learn kind of the behind the stuff in a real news studio. And that's how I was like, "Perfect. This is exactly what I would be more than happy to do." And then their sports guy left, and they moved the weekend guy to weekdays, and they were like, "Alexa, would you do our weekend sports?" And I was like, "Oh, Lord, I don't know if I could." When I tell you, first broadcast, I said that they scored a point in baseball. And I know that's not what you're supposed to say. I know, I know. I also mispronounced Nicholas. I said Nicholas Djokovic versus Djokovic for tennis.
Oh, oh.
So I made a couple errors and I heard the phone ringing in the room around the corner because someone was going to call and say something. But it's a very unique experience. So I ended up doing sports on weekends and then they moved around our meteorologist again. And then I ended up doing weather on the weekends. And so it was kind of like my
Hmm.
first real, like, on camera, not college level
Experience.
exposure. Yeah, it was actually and there was one time I got to anchor one time, I got to do the weather one time, I got to do sports one time. So it was a little bit all over the place on the weekends, but that I hold that place really warmly in my heart. Love the people there. Still love um Nicole Hanna's. She's awesome. She's there right now. But yeah, it was a really weird experience. So I felt like I had to tell you that I did do some sport and I tried to make some puns about Aaron Judge a couple times too. I was like, he delivered his verdict. I was doing puns were the only thing I had going for me when I did sports because I had no clue what I was saying.
Well, Well, listen, I appreciate that 411. I appreciate your transparency on telling me about how you did sports and how you did a terrible damn job. But that's okay. That is all right because listen, you're amazing at meteorology. Everybody has their lane they got to drive in. Some people like to drive fast, above speed limit. Some people got to go school limit. And you just figured out where you had to go. And that's all that was. So
Thank you. I
I
appreciate
totally understand that. But this has been a pretty dope conversation. You seem like an amazing person.
Thank
I
you.
wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors. If you stay in Kentucky or if you move on to somewhere else, please do not be a stranger, as I will not be to you because I'm a new fan of yours. And I want you to enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. And Alexa, we will definitely be in touch very soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. It was great meeting you.
Great meeting you too. Take care now.
All right. Bye.